Rewind 90 days. Here's how the circus pitched a tent in my kitchen. It was a Thursday, the kind where your mortgage gives you side-eye when you open the fridge. I was in an apron that said "Kiss the Cook," which is bold for a man who burns water. Andrea slid in with that influencer glide, the one that says, "I'm about to rebrand your soul." She set down 2 glasses and a concept. "Honey," she smiled, "for our growth, I think we should try ethical non-monogamy." That's right. She proposed an open marriage to save us. Like duct tape for vows. Like CrossFit for your feelings. I didn't flip a table. I didn't launch into Shakespeare. I blinked, took a polite sip of betrayal, and said, "Absolutely. Exactly as you want." I gave her exactly what she wanted. Freedom with the QR code. Transparency, testing, shared calendars. She signed faster than a Black Friday checkout. And me? I opened a new email, shook hands with my router, and told the cloud to bring a notebook. How did I flip her freedom into the perfect exit? How did a smoothie named Yoga Brad end up on a paternity chart? How did a country club turn into a courtroom with better lighting? Stay with me. The metadata starts singing next. The perfect lie cracks. Our life on Instagram looked like a luxury car commercial that learned Canva. Matching BMWs lined up like obedient Labradors. Granite counters reflecting my slow decline. Every Sunday, Andrea staged brunch like a crime scene. Microgreens, mimosas, and me, a human tripod with a credit limit. Captions read, "Blessed," which is influencer for, "We argued about the color of napkins for 40 minutes. Offline, the napkins were fine. The marriage, not so much." Andrea started following best life gurus who sell enlightenment in 12 pastel slides. She'd say things like, "We need to align our intimacy goals," then hide her phone like it contained nuclear codes and 3 coupons for adultery. Notifications pinged, and she'd flip it face down, which is the universal sign for nothing good. I asked who it was. She said, "Jenna." The phone said, "Tom." The universe said, "Oh boy." Girls' nights evolved into a paramilitary operation. Calendar events locked tighter than Fort Knox. Outfits that screamed, "I'd like to have a conversation with your upper management." One Tuesday, she left in yoga pants and came back smelling like steak and a confession. "How was yoga?" I asked. "Stretchy," she smiled, which is not a steak adjective. Our anniversary dinner should have been candlelight and carbs. Instead, I got a TED Talk titled "Ethical Non-Monogamy, a Roadmap to Growth," complete with Canva gradients, a bibliography of Instagram therapists, and the confidence of someone who already finished the practicum and bought merch. "It's not cheating," she said. "It's honest expansion, like co-working for souls." Like we were franchising feelings between appetizers. I asked if we were unhappy. She said, "We're stagnant. Our intimacy KPIs are flat." I pictured us as a pond with a duck named Tom paddling through a Q3 review. Her trial weekend clause arrived like a Groupon for heartbreak. The rules were a choose-your-own-adventure where I lost on every page. No emotions, no public embarrassment, no dating anyone from the club, no one in our friend group, no one within 3 zip codes of her radius, no one who might recognize her at brunch, and absolutely no talking about it unless it made her look good. My version. Transparency app, shared calendar, testing like we were auditioning for a hospital commercial. "This feels punitive," she said, signing anyway. Her pen moved like it had places to be. I accepted on her terms and played it cool, which in my body looks like a swan gliding while underwater my legs are writing an IT policy. She kissed my cheek like a teacher grading me a C+ and floated away to call Jenna. I opened a new email account so clean it squeaked. I high-fived my router. I whispered to the cloud, "Take notes." I installed the transparency app we both agreed to, then toggled every setting that makes your phone confess its sins. There's a special kind of silence in a kitchen after someone just asked to edit the foundation of your life. The garlic dish soaked, glowering. The mortgage hummed, judgmental. I chopped onions I didn't need, because it's nice to look like you're crying for culinary reasons. I thought about my parents, the wedding video, the vows we wrote while drunk on Pinterest. I did not think about throwing a plate. Growth. Open loop for the curious. What was I planning behind the apron? Not revenge. Not yet. Let's call it documentation with flair. A scrapbook for lawyers. A memory book where the memories have MAC addresses. If she wanted a brand new container for love, fine. I'd measure it to the milliliter. I'd color code it. I'd laminate it so thoroughly our grandchildren could study it in a museum called Don't Do This. As the dishwasher clicked shut, I reached for my phone and typed 3 words that would become my life raft. Open marriage rules. Uncle Google answered like an ant who drinks. Then I typed, best divorce attorney near me. That's how Diane entered my story. First as a search result, then as a voice that could slice marble. But before I called her, I called someone else, myself, in a voice memo. Stay calm, I told me. Play nice. Gather facts. Don't monologue. Yet. And then I smiled. Because if metadata is a diary, my house was about to publish a memoir. Open marriage terms. Her playbook. My counter. Andrea rolled out her rules like a flight attendant demonstrating how to fasten your shame. No emotions, she said, which is adorable coming from a woman who cried at a countertop display. Full honesty, she added, triple tapping her screen, face IDing, then hiding the phone like it was a vault in a heist movie guarded by a ring light. And absolutely do not embarrass me at the club. Protect the brand story. Not, don't embarrass us. Me. The brand had a single point of failure, and it was my face. She had a tone like an HR memo wearing perfume. Also, discretion. No overlaps with our social circle. No posts, no drama. Translation. She'd already mapped the route and was worried about traffic cones. I nodded like a bobblehead with tenure. Of course, I said. Let's do full transparency. Shared calendar. Weekly check-ins. STD panels every other Friday. Smoothies optional. Her smile twitched like a squirrel on espresso. STD panels? That's a lot. I shrugged. You said ethical. She signed anyway because momentum is a hell of a drug, and her pen had frequent flyer miles. We screenshotted signatures like a hostage exchange. My add-ons were innocent on paper and surgical in practice. A full transparency app that pings location and logs calls for trust. A shared calendar with strict category colors. Romance is pink, lies are red. Testing reminders synced to her phone, my phone, and the garage door in case ethics needed a chime. She loved the optics. I loved the audit trail. Then I set my counters. I opened a new email so sterile it needed a shower cap. I spun up a cloud backup and handed it a tiny clipboard. Rare logs? Enabled. DHCP leases? Exported. Syslog to external? On. Device names? Labeled like kindergarten cubbies. Tom's Board Lounge iPad would have been too honest, so I settled for unknown iPad 3. I mapped SSIDs, Club Guest, Board Lounge Private, saved BSSIDs, and cached TLS cert warnings for when her phone handshook with expired Wi-Fi like a raccoon. I air-tagged everything not alive. Keys, gym bag, luggage. The tote labeled self-care, which turned out to mean nighttime adventures with surge pricing. When the house breathed, it left a breadcrumb with a MAC address. First near miss happened on a Thursday. I almost got caught doing an encrypted iTunes backup to pull message databases. Don't attempt delicate espionage while wearing oven mitts. She walked in mid-sync, and I nearly fainted into a casserole. I palmed cable, muttered, "Where are my AirTags?" Which, ironically, is the exact ecosystem I was building. She rolled her eyes, kissed my forehead, and said, "You're adorable." Yes. Like a hamster installing surveillance with checksum integrity. The rules ran their first lap Friday night. She announced a girls' tapas thing, which is code for mysterious schedule with olives. I cheerfully asked her to drop her plans into the shared calendar. She typed tapas with Jenna and added a martini emoji that looked like perjury. 5 minutes later, the transparency app pinged, location set to boutique hotel. I smiled like an insurance agent who just found your trampoline. Venmo added its own poetry. Orange juice with an eggplant emoji, rideshare with a peach doing Pilates, a $87 wellness fee to a user named @BoardLoungeBrad with a wave emoji. Listen, if you're going to disguise transactions, choose categories that don't sound like a produce aisle after dark and a side quest in HR training. Saturday morning, we held our first weekly check-in like responsible adults who'd lost the plot. I made coffee. She wore the hoodie that says empathy. I asked, "Any updates I should know?" She smoothed her hair and said, "Just tapas. Lots of small plates." My router quietly coughed up timestamps like a snitch with a Fitbit. I kept my tone gentle. Hey, tiny tweak? Let's add a disclosure within 24 hours rule. Keeps the vibe honest. She nodded, because the word vibe can hypnotize. She even hugged me. I patted her back like I was comforting a raccoon that stole my debit card. By Sunday, the logs started singing. Familiar MAC addresses appeared at strange hours. A club staff iPad winked hellos from a room with dimmers. Photo EXIF data whispered, "This mirror selfie happened 12 minutes after yoga." The calendar overlapped with a charity rehearsal, and the IP trail greeted a board member named Tom like an old friend. She had her playbook. I had mine. Hers was vibes. Mine was evidence that could testify in a tux. The digital discovery, metadata, doesn't lie. My router is a snitch wearing glasses. Friday at 11:42 p.m., it logged a device called Front Desk iPad 3 hopping onto our guest network like it owned stock. 10 minutes later, Peloton backhaul. We don't have a Peloton. We have anxiety and a yoga mat that smells like despair. Cross-reference with the Transparency app. Andrew's Dot sits at a boutique hotel that serves water in jars with moral superiority. I whisper, "Good evening, Your Honor," and take a screenshot that glows like a Christmas confession. Then the EXIF data winks. She posts a mirror selfie captioned, "Post-yoga glow." Timestamp says 6:18 p.m. The Transparency app says 6:30 p.m. Elevator ride to floor 7. 12 minutes to shower, glow, and acquire a keycard. Even Jesus needed 3 days. Venmo tries stand-up. She pays Tom for orange juice with 2 eggplants and a rocket ship. Buddy, if you're going to launder vibes, don't use emojis that require a parental advisory. Another payment? Rideshare to Brad with a flexed arm and a wave. My spine reads it as, he lifted, then left. I'm just reporting. The IP logs start thread weaving. Her phone hops from our SSID to club guest to board lounge private. BSSID ending 7A1C. Board lounge. That's where Tom the Cantaloupe holds court, sipping scotch and pretending to invent philanthropy. I cross-check her calendar. Charity rehearsal. Cute. The lounge's captive portal TLS cert expired 3 months ago. Nothing says ethical like ignoring updates and MITMing your own conscience. And then, chef's kiss. The shared calendar pings an event called Reformer Pilates with Jenna. My router timestamps a device labeled Sony A732 at our house at the same hour. Oh we Sony, Mac ending, 3F photographer. The man's literal camera grabbed my guest Wi-Fi and asked for a DHCP lease, like it wanted headshots and a snack. The universe handed me a signed headshot with a MAC address footer. I try a gentle nudge. Over coffee, I ask, "How was Jenna's class?" She smiles like a toothpaste model and says, "Transformative." I nod, screenshot the MAC address list, and whisper, "Me too." Saturday night, she sets D&D. My Transparency app doesn't care about vibes, it cares about math. It records a 47-minute gap in cell towers, followed by a GPS bounce in the back parking lot of the club where affairs go to stretch. The gap screams airplane mode, which is adorable if you're flying. On the ground, it's called evidence seasoning. I get bolder. I pull our router's device history into a spreadsheet, color code like an unhinged camp counselor, and cross-sort against her stories. Every time she tagged self-care, the house shook hands with either Work Study Terminal or Member Locker 2. Club staff devices. I could have cried. Instead, I alphabetized. Sunday afternoon, she posts a boomerang. Cheers with mimosas. Caption, "Tapas healing." EXIF says the photo was taken in a room with incandescent lighting at 2:04 a.m. Andrea does not boomerang at 2:04 a.m. unless gravity is involved. I enlarge the reflection in the champagne flute. A blazer. Navy. Tom loves navy like it's a personality. At this point, even my toaster is judging. I call Diane for theoretical advice. She says, "Collect quietly. Don't be a hero. Heroes bleed." I ask about logs, backups, consent. She purrs, "Yes, to data, no, to drama. If it didn't happen in writing, it didn't happen." I write like I'm being graded. The coup de grace arrives by accident. Her Apple ID sends an alert. New sign-in from Apple TV, boardroom annex. She forgot to disable PhotoSync. 30 seconds later, my iPad previews a thumbnail. Andrea in a lobby mirror. Hair perfect. Tom's ring flashing as he adjusts his tie in the background, face cropped by karma, but ring screaming like a car alarm. I exhale so hard the basil plant files a noise complaint. I don't confront. I curate. I gather router logs, EXIF pulls, Venmo notes, calendar overlaps, IP handshakes, and a neat little list titled Roster with 3 names: Tom, photographer, whose camera confessed, and Yoga, Brad, who appears whenever sweat emojis bloom. Underneath, I add my favorite line in the English language. Metadata doesn't lie. It keeps receipts and stamps them. I close the laptop, pet the cat, and say, "We're going to Bora Bora, buddy." The country club scandal starter for copy. The country club is where cardio goes to die and gossip does CrossFit. I roll up in my "I totally belong here" polo and rent the cheapest bucket of balls like I'm about to fix my slice and not my marriage. Ninth hole overlooks the walking path of poor decisions. That's where I spot them. Andrea and Tom the bored cantaloupe, fingers laced like 2 teenagers who discovered hand-holding on a TED Talk. Andrea's laugh is dialed to influencer. Tom's head shines like a helmet you could see from a satellite. They pause at the little bridge and do the "we're just colleagues" lean that screams, "We are absolutely not just colleagues." My inner narrator whispers, "Please trip. Not a big fall, just a karma wobble." I line up a shot I have no intention of hitting and watch the reflection on my club head. There it is. Andrea's hand on his forearm, a second too long. Then an over-the-shoulder hug that lives in the zip code of HR training videos. I mutter, "Nice swing," and whiff the ball so hard I invent a new sport called air golf. From the terrace above the ninth, Susan watches like a falcon with a martini, steel spine, calm mouth. Her eyes are doing forensic analysis. She's not blinking. She's bookmarking. Our gazes meet. I do the world's smallest nod. She tilts her glass a millimeter. Truce signed. Treaty pending. Enter the starter, a man whose clipboard is sentient. He materializes at my elbow and whispers like we're in church, "You see what I see? Sir, you sell tea times, not confessionals." I clutch my back and groan. Oof, old injury. Because nothing shuts down golf talk like a lumbar spasm. He backs off, torn between gossip and liability. I retreat to the pro shop, which smells like leather money. That's where I meet Diane. Not meet cute. Meet clarity. She's by the counter returning a visor that offended her principals. Tall, composed, eyes like a scalpel. The pro says, "Miss Harrison, your receipt," and my brain files it under. Divorce attorney whose Yelp reviews read like war medals. I open with hypothetical question, like a man asking a firefighter about candles. She does not smile. Not yet. Hypothetically, I say, if a spouse asked for ethical non-monogamy and then treated the ethics like garnish. Diane raises one eyebrow a fraction, which in lawyer means continue. I give her the PG-13 version, shared calendar, transparency app, metadata choir. She says, "Collect quietly. No hero moves. Heroes bleed." I nod like I've been benched by the coach I needed since birth. Outside, Andrea texts, "Tapas again tonight. Don't wait up." Tapas is doing heavy lifting. I forward the message to my evidence folder titled "Not Tacos" and head to the terrace. Susan is at her table, phone face down, which is code for I already have the screenshots. I slide into the chair across from her like a man ordering an alibi. "Afternoon," I say. "Lovely day for philanthropy." She doesn't bother with pleasantries. "How long?" she asks, eyes on the ninth bridge. 90 days of winks, I answer. 2 years of vibes, she counters. We breathe. She sets down her glass like a gavel. "I'm not your ally," she says. "I'm my outcomes ally." "Same," I say. That earns me a ghost of a smile, the kind that says we can do business. I keep it clean. No show and tell, just the scent of receipts. She taps her phone. "Gala is in 3 weeks. Everyone will be there. Board, donors, photographers, the band that's too loud." She slides a folded paper across, guest list with notes. Little arrows connect names like a conspiracy corkboard. "Rumor map," she says. "Find your timing." I feel my cortex throw confetti. On my way out, the starter tries again. "You didn't hear this from me," he whispers, leaning so far his visor squeaks. "But Tom's been booking practice rounds after hours." My back flares in the universal dialect of shut up. Sciatica. I wince. He recoils, mutters a prayer to Titleist, and scurries. Back home, Diane returns my hypothetical. If you're serious, she says, we stage discovery. No theatrics. Let her sprint. You build the trail. I ask for a plan. She says, paper, texts, location, shared devices consent. And when the moment comes, clinical, not cruel. I look at the garlic dish and salute. Open loop time. What's Diane's bigger strategy? She's playing chess on a board I thought was a brunch table. I'm just the guy who finally learned the opening move. Keep the receipts and let the country club do the gossiping for free.